In the distance lies a fortress of ancient roots. Rugged mountains bowed before her, and deep ravines surrounded her majestic walls. Her name is Saône, and this is her story. Located in western Syria, Saône stands as a symbol of defiance and medieval craftsmanship. The original structure dates back to the 10th century, and in its nascent state, it lacked the grandiose appearance that we see today. Engulfed by endless forests and towering trees, a significant part of Saône's history remains shrouded in mystery. We don't know much about the original founders, but we certainly know about the cascade of civilizations and the consecutive occupants that gradually contributed to building Saône's massive ramparts. The first recorded occupants of Saône were the Hamdanids, an Arab dynasty that was headquartered in Syria's Aleppo and ruled northern Mesopotamia and Syria from 890 to 1004 AD. As the Byzantine Empire expanded eastward, the Hamdanids' influence was in gradual but noticeable decline, providing a fertile ground for the Byzantines to take over western Syria. Saône officially became a part of the Byzantine Empire when Emperor John I Zimisces took over the castle in 975 AD, expanding the Byzantine Empire further to the east. For over a century, the Byzantines added more fortifications to Saône, carving wider moats in the mountains to separate the walls of the castle from the mother mountain around it. One of the Byzantines' most significant additions to Saône was a 90 feet deep ditch, which they cut into the surrounding mountains, an area known as living rocks, or rocks that are still parts of the mother mountain, not separate rocks that were cut off independently. This ditch, which runs over 500 feet along the east side of the castle, is roughly 65 feet wide and has a lonely 90 feet high needle to support the drawbridge that connects the castle's wall with the edge of the mother mountain. The Byzantines' control over Saône started to wane in the early years of the 12th century. And around 1108, the Crusaders who controlled nearby Lattakia annexed Saône to officially become a part of their established state of Antioch. The Lords of Saône were some of the most powerful figures in the Crusader Principality of Antioch, and the most important one among them is Robert the Leper, a powerful baron who was famously known as the Baron of Saône. Robert took over Saône in 1119 AD, and during his rule, the Crusaders built most of what Saône looks like today, adding a chapel at the center of the terrain, water cisterns, stables, ramparts, and higher walls than what the Byzantines previously constructed. Saône remained in the hands of Robert the Leper and his son William of Zardana for at least half a century. At the height of the Second Crusade, formidable military orders like the Templars and the Hospitallers were entrusted with guarding many Crusader castles in the east, including Margat Castle along Syria's coast, the Chastille Blanc near Tardis, and Crac du Chevalier in the Homs Gap. However, Saône was excluded from this trust to stay solidly in the hands of Robert the Leper and his son William of Zardana, until the late years of the 12th century. July the 27th of 1188 was a watershed moment in Saône's history, because on that day, the Ayyubid Sultan Saladin and his son, Azar Ghazi, besieged Saône and ended a centuries-long Christian control over the fortress with a Muslim control. In doing so, they effectively ended the Crusader era by taking control over Saône along with a slew of other Crusader strongholds in the east. The Muslim forces followed an effective strategy. Outside of the castle, Saladin positioned himself with his siege engines on the plateau facing the castle's east side, while his son positioned his troops facing the north of the castle's lower end. Using their deadly catapults, the Muslim forces, on two separate sides, hurled stones that weighed anywhere between 100 to 600 pounds against the castle's walls, causing a significant damage to the external structure. When Azzair's forces assaulted the castle's nearby town, the inhabitants sought refuge inside the castle. In its original design, the castle and its town were supposed to be separated by a ditch. But at the north end of the castle, Robert the Leper had faced a shortage in labor, and the ditch remained unfinished. Azzair took advantage of this weakness, and his forces successfully stormed the castle walls. The inner courtyard was overrun by Muslim forces, and the Crusaders were forced to retreat to the dungeon. Saladin's campaign lasted for 2 days, and on the third day, the Crusader knights agreed to hand Saône to Saladin in exchange for a safe passage. Despite the strength of the walls, Saône could not withstand the bombardment of Saladin's campaign and his siege engines, and it fell in just 3 days, and with its fall, one era ended and another one began. And yes, with that end, even the name changed from the Fortress of Saône to the Castle of Saladin.